Prison changes most men by breaking their spirit or dulling their edge. Don Carter is different. For him, prison becomes a place of clarity. With the noise of the streets gone, he finally sees how much of his power came from people reacting to him rather than understanding him. Inside, he watches from a distance as others scramble to fill the space he left behind. Some move too fast, making mistakes that expose their hunger. Others hesitate, revealing fear. These reactions tell Don Carter everything he needs to know about the balance of power on the outside. From behind bars, Don Carter gains something rare in the power universe: patience without pressure. There is no need to rush a move or prove dominance. Time is now his ally. Every week that passes, alliances weaken, loyalty fades, and secrets become heavier to carry. People who once felt untouchable start to worry. They replay past conversations in their heads, wondering what Don Carter remembers and who he might have spoken to. That quiet fear spreads faster than violence ever could. Prison also becomes a place of information. Men talk when they believe no one important is listening. Stories of deals, betrayals, and unfinished business move through the cell blocks. Don Carter listens more than he speaks. He understands that power is not about controlling people directly, but about knowing what controls them. He learns who has enemies on the outside, who owes money, and who is desperate to shorten their sentence. Every detail becomes a piece on the board. Even without giving orders, Don Carter's influence grows. His name carries weight. Guards treat him differently. Inmates approach him carefully. Lawyers watch their words. This quiet respect creates space for movement. Messages pass through legal visits. Favors are exchanged without promises. No one fully understands what Don Carter is planning, and that uncertainty makes people cautious. In the power world, caution often leads to mistakes. What makes prison especially useful for Don Carter is how it removes emotion from his decisions. On the outside, choices are rushed by survival. Inside, everything slows down. He can replay past events without anger clouding his judgment. He sees clearly who betrayed him and who simply followed fear. This clarity sharpens his future plans. When he eventually steps back into the world, he will not be guessing. He will be acting with certainty. By the time Don Carter's release becomes possible, the damage will already be done. Power structures will be unstable. Trust will be thin. People will be looking over their shoulders, unsure of who has already made contact with him. Prison will not have reduced his reach. It will have focused it. Don Carter will walk out not as a man returning to power, but as someone who never truly lost it. Don Carter's release will not be dramatic, and it will not come with relief. In the power universe, freedom is never a gift. It is a consequence of pressure building in the wrong places. By the time the system decides to let Don Carter walk, it will be because keeping him locked up has become more dangerous than setting him free. The story will not present his exit as a victory. It will present it as a correction, a quiet decision made behind closed doors to avoid larger damage. The legal path that opens his cell door will likely feel ordinary. A reduced charge, a procedural failure, a review that suddenly moves faster than expected. These moments may look small to the public, but within the world of power, they signal fear. Someone will want the case to disappear. Someone will want their name removed from it. Don Carter's freedom will be the cost of that. Silence. He will step out not because he was forgiven, but because he became inconvenient. What happens next matters more than how he gets out. Don Carter will not rush to reclaim territory or confront enemies. He understands that power after prison works differently. People reveal more when they believe they are being watched. He will let rumors do the work for him. The idea of his return will create panic long before he makes a move. Old partners will question each other. Enemies will prepare defenses against threats that have not yet appeared. This tension weakens everyone around him. His time inside will have stripped away unnecessary attachments. He will not waste energy on revenge that does not serve a purpose. Every action will be measured. Every meeting will test loyalty. Don Carter will know exactly who tried to benefit from his absence and who quietly protected his name. Prison teaches a man who to trust, not by words, but by behavior over time. That knowledge is priceless. The most dangerous part of Don Carter's return is that he will no longer need visibility. Influence will move through others. Decisions will be shaped without his presence. People will act in ways they believe align with his interests. Even when he says nothing, that is real control. In Power Legacy, characters fall not because they are attacked, but because they misjudge the silence around them. Don Carter walking free will mark a shift in the story's direction. His release will not close a chapter. It will open several at once. The balance of power will tilt, not loudly, but permanently. Those who once believed prison ended his story will realize too late that it only refined it. Don Carter's freedom will not exist in isolation. The moment he steps out, every major player in Power Legacy will feel the shift, even if they refuse to say his name out loud. His release creates tension because it benefits people who are not ready to admit they need him. Some characters will see Don Carter as a shield, others as a weapon, and a few as a threat that must be managed carefully. This mix of fear and need is what gives his return real impact. There will be characters on the outside who made moves only because Don Carter was gone. They took risks they would never have taken if he were watching. Now, those same choices start to look reckless. Deals that felt safe begin to feel exposed. Alliances built in his absence suddenly lack stability. These people will be the first to push for quiet contact, not out of loyalty, but out of self-preservation. Don Carter will understand this instantly. He has always known the difference between respect and fear. Others will benefit from his release in more direct ways. Someone will need his knowledge to clean up a problem they can no longer control. Someone else will need him to shift blame away from themselves. In the Power universe, people rarely free someone because they care. They do it because they need leverage. Don Carter will become that leverage. His past connections, his understanding of how power moves, and his ability to stay calm under pressure make him useful even to those who once wanted him buried. What makes this dangerous is that Don Carter does not return as a follower. Anyone who tries to use him will quickly realize that he always plays the long game. He allows people to believe they are in control while quietly shaping the outcome. He listens more than he speaks. He waits until others reveal their true goals. By the time they understand the cost of involving him, they are already tied to his decisions. His freedom also forces old enemies to choose between action and silence. Moving against Don Carter too soon exposes fear. Doing nothing allows him space to rebuild influence. Either choice carries risk. That hesitation creates openings for new conflicts to grow. Power Legacy thrives on these unstable moments, where no one feels fully safe and every move has consequences beyond what is visible. Don Carter's release does not restore the old order. It destabilizes it. His presence reshapes motivations, forces characters into uncomfortable alliances, and brings hidden tensions to the surface. He becomes a catalyst, not a ruler. And in a world where control depends on perception, that role is more powerful than any throne. Don Carter's future in Power Legacy will not be built on revenge alone. The writers are setting him up as a long-term force, not a short-lived shock. His time in prison gives the story something it did not have before. A character who understands loss, patience, and consequence at the same time. When he moves next, it will not be emotional or reckless. It will be strategic, designed to reshape the world around him rather than dominate it openly. What makes Don Carter dangerous now is that he no longer needs to chase power. Power comes to him. People will seek his advice, his protection, or his silence. Each request creates leverage. He will collect these moments quietly, allowing others to feel like they are in control while binding themselves to his influence. This is how Power Legacy evolves its villains and anti-heroes, turning them into figures who control outcomes without standing in the spotlight. The show's pattern suggests that Don Carter's role will connect multiple storylines. Rather than replace existing leaders, he will not try to rule everything. Instead, he will position himself at the center of decisions, where information passes through him before reaching others. This makes him impossible to remove without collapsing several alliances at once. His value lies in what he knows and how he chooses to use it. Don Carter's prison experience also changes how he handles loyalty. He will not reward loud support. He will value consistency, silence, and restraint. Characters who stayed neutral during his downfall will earn more trust than those who tried too hard to prove allegiance. This subtle shift in values will surprise people who think they understand him. It will also create conflict, as some will feel entitled to his favor and realize too late that they misjudged him. In the bigger picture, Don Carter's arc represents a theme power often returns to survival through adaptation. Characters who fail are the ones who cling to old versions of themselves. Don Carter's situation looks simple on the surface. He is arrested, charged, and placed in a system designed to break men like him. The law believes it has won. His enemies believe they are safe. Even some of his allies start to move on, thinking his power is gone. But this is exactly where most people misunderstand Don Carter. He was never built to survive by strength or speed. He survives by patience. From the moment he enters prison, his role changes, but his control does not disappear. In fact, prison removes distractions. No street wars, no sudden betrayals, no need to react fast. Everything slows down, and that favors a man who thinks 10 steps ahead. Inside prison, Don Carter becomes invisible in the best way. No one watches him closely anymore because they believe he has already lost. This is when his mind becomes his main weapon. He studies patterns, listens to stories, and learns who is desperate and who is afraid. Prison is full of men who know things, men who made deals, men who were used and thrown away. Don Carter understands that information is more valuable than freedom. While others count days on the wall, he counts weaknesses in the system. He knows guards have habits, lawyers have prices, and inmates have pressure points. The walls do not silence him. They protect him. Power has always shown that prison is not just a punishment. It is a network. Messages move quietly. Favors are traded slowly. Trust is built carefully. Don Carter does not rush any of it. He allows time to do its work. He lets people underestimate him because that mistake always costs them later. His calm is not acceptance. It is preparation. Every day inside is another day closer to control, not another day wasted. The case against Don Carter appears solid, but solid cases in power rarely stay that way. Every case has cracks, and those cracks grow when pressure is applied in the right places. Witnesses start strong, but fear does not fade easily. Evidence looks clean until someone starts asking why certain details were ignored. Don Carter understands the law well enough to know that the truth does not always matter. What matters is doubt. He does not need to prove he is innocent. He only needs to make the system unsure. From prison, he can work through lawyers who owe favors or want future protection. Legal strategy becomes a slow burn. Appeals are filed. Motions are delayed. Small details are questioned. A timeline does not add up. A witness changes their tone. Nothing dramatic happens at first, and that is the point. Big moves attract attention. Small legal moves get ignored until it is too late. Don Carter uses the system the same way he used people on the outside, calmly, quietly, and with purpose. Power stories often reveal that law enforcement is not as clean as it pretends to be. Evidence can be planted. Statements can be forced. Deals can be made under pressure. Don Carter knows this world is built on shortcuts. If someone bent the rules to put him away, that same weakness can be used to pull him out. All it takes is one mistake becoming visible. one officer protecting the wrong person, one report that does not match the truth. Once that door opens, everything behind it starts to fall. This is where time helps Don Carter the most. The longer he sits, the more relaxed his enemies become. They stop covering their tracks. They speak too freely. They trust the wrong people. And when the moment comes, the case that once looked untouchable starts to look rushed and careless. That is how freedom begins in the power universe. Not with a miracle, but with exposure. Prison also gives Don Carter something he never had on. The outside, distance. Distance lets him see the full picture without emotion. He watches how power shifts when he's gone. He notices who rises too fast and who struggles to fill the space he left behind. This tells him exactly who is weak. Some people need him more than they want to admit. Some enemies only exist because he is not there to stop them. This imbalance creates opportunity. Visitors become tools. Conversations are measured. Every word is chosen carefully. Don Carter never asks directly for help. He plants ideas and lets others believe the move is theirs. That is how he has always worked. Prison does not change that skill. It sharpens it. The people outside start to realize that his silence is dangerous. They do not know what he knows or who he has spoken to. Fear grows in that silence. Power has shown many times that characters gain influence inside prison. Control does not need streets when fear travels faster than action. Don Carter's name alone can open doors. Inmates talk. Guards listen. Lawyers connect dots. Even if he never gives a direct order, his presence shapes behavior. People act differently when they believe a man like Don Carter may walk free one day. That belief alone keeps him powerful. By the time the system notices what is happening, the pieces are already moving. The pressure builds not on Don Carter, but around him. Someone on the outside will make a move to protect themselves. Someone will cut a deal. Someone will talk. Prison did not weaken Don Carter. It turned him into a problem no one can solve easily. When Don Carter finally gets out, it will not feel sudden. It will feel unavoidable. The case will no longer stand firm. The system will choose the safest exit, not the cleanest one. Charges reduced, evidence questioned. A legal technicality that changes everything. His release will be framed as procedure, not defeat. But everyone who understands power will know the truth. He did not escape prison. He forced it to let him go. His freedom will not come with celebration or noise. Don Carter will not rush back into the spotlight. That is not his style. He will move quietly, watching who panics and who pretends nothing has changed. That reaction alone will tell him who is guilty, who is loyal, and who is already preparing to fall. Power always shifts after a release like this. Old alliances break. New fears rise. The most dangerous part is not that Don Carter is free again. It is that he comes back with clarity. Prison strips away emotion and leaves only purpose. He will know exactly who put him there and why. He will also know who stayed silent and who tried to benefit from his absence. In Power Legacy, freedom is never just freedom. It is leverage. In the end, Don Carter getting out of prison is not about luck or mercy. It is about control. He understands systems, and systems can always be bent by someone patient enough. When he walks out, the story will not reset. It will escalate. And the people who thought prison ended him will realize too late that it only made him stronger. Don Carter's legal battle is designed to look finished, but power has never respected clean endings. What makes his case interesting is not what is written on paper, but what is missing from it. The charges rely heavily on people who had something to gain by pointing the finger at him. Deals were made quietly. Promises were exchanged, and fear was used to lock stories into place. At first, everything holds together, but time has a way of loosening even the tightest lies. Don Carter understands this better than anyone. He knows that no one tells the same story forever, especially when the pressure shifts and protection starts to fade inside prison. Don Carter does not fight the case directly. He lets it breathe. He allows the system to believe it has already won. This gives prosecutors no reason to rush or double-check their work. Small mistakes stay hidden because no one is looking for them. But every case has seams. A timeline that depends too much on memory. A witness who spoke under threat. Evidence that changed hands one too many times before it reached the court. These are not dramatic flaws, but they are dangerous ones. Don Carter only needs one of them to crack open. Power has shown many times that the justice system moves on convenience, not truth. When a case is wrapped up, everyone involved wants it to stay that way. No one wants old files reopened or old decisions questioned. Don Carter uses this laziness as a weapon. Through lawyers and quiet legal requests, he forces small reviews instead of big challenges. A document here, a procedural issue there. Each one seems harmless on its own. Together, they create doubt, and doubt is enough to shake even a strong conviction. As months pass, the people who testified against him start to feel exposed. Protection deals expire. Promises lose value. Lives on the outside become unstable. Fear changes sides. The same people who once felt safe speaking against Don Carter now worry about what happens if he ever walks free. That fear affects memory. Stories shift slightly. Confidence fades during follow-up questioning. The system notices, but it cannot undo what is already recorded. Once doubt enters the record, it never fully leaves. Another problem begins to surface. The people who helped build the case start protecting themselves. Officers who cut corners avoid attention. Officials who rush paperwork hope no one looks too closely. But Don Carter understands how pressure works. He knows that when one part of a case is questioned, everything connected to it becomes risky. Someone will choose safety over loyalty. Someone will quietly step back. That hesitation weakens the entire structure. By the time the case is reviewed seriously, it no longer looks untouchable. It looks rushed. It looks messy. And most importantly, it looks like a liability. The system does not like embarrassment. When faced with the choice between admitting mistakes